Well, tell us a little bit about yourself, Paul, as long as we're still gathering.
Yes.
We heard about you from Paul Connett.
Yeah, he always mentioned the reusing park I started 2007 in Gothenburg, which was an idea we had from the waste management department of the city of Gothenburg, where I was working at the time. And in Sweden, you have to take all the bulky waste into a recycle center by yourself. And it means that people are coming with trucks and trailers and going to the recycle center and sort into different fractions. And we saw how much of all these different items and the goods they brought that were, you could reuse them for sure for many, many, many years. So that's how it started, that we started collecting all these things that people were supposed to throw in their different containers for recycling or burning. Then we asked people to start donating it. And then the whole idea of this recycling park came up. And it was a super success immediately. And we had people coming from all over the world to see how we work with it and how we could finance it and how we could, by legislation, help the process to go on. And it was a fantastic trip to do with this park. Now I've been retired almost 10 years. And from that time, I've been advocating zero waste, of course, all over the world, more than 80 countries. And I've also been working with the Let's Do It network, which is a cleanup organization. And I'm still working with them as I do with the zero waste concept. And it brought me to so many beautiful places, and I have seen so many fantastic places where the zero waste concept is working. The only thing that concerns me a little bit is right now I'm based in Asia. I'm sitting in a small city in West Sulawesi, Indonesia, and I've been traveling a lot in Asia to these big cities, mega cities with 10 or 15, 20 million people, and how complicated the waste management system will be in these areas. Most of these examples we see all over the world are small local communities like the Kamikatsu in Japan and so on, and from Capanori in Italy and so on. So these are all very, very good examples how you probably could scale up it a little bit, but in these huge megacities, we need to have other solutions also. And I don't really know how to do it, but there are some good examples also. One of the reasons why incineration is increasing now all over the world, especially in Asia, even in the Philippines, where I lived for 5 years, which is the only country that had actually a legislation against incineration or burning, are now advocating also for incinerators, and they will build incinerators. And in China, they are building more than 100 incinerators because they think it's an easy way to get rid of the waste, and then they get coal or eating whatever you want out of the incinerator. But we who work with the zero waste concept know that it's one of the most stupid things you can do is to burn the resources, because that is the fuel for the incinerator. That is the resources that we're using. So let's see how many people we got in now, and if we have Mr. Anthony here also, and
Rick and Enzo are here. Yeah.
And yeah, okay, that's good, because we have two speakers coming up. From Zero Waste Europe and from Mother Earth Foundation in the Philippines. But before we start with this, we should have a little chat. I made just a short introduction of myself now, and we have just to show the international brief we have of this session is that we also bring in Mr. Master Professor Richard Anthony from California. So just say a few words about yourself. You are very well known, of course, but just a few words, and then we get it over to Enzo, and he will give us a short introduction also of himself. And then we have a discussion, what's going on in the world now with the Zero Waste International and how we work with it briefly. So please, Richard Anthony.
Oh, hi, Paul. It's good to see you, and I see Enzo there too. Hi, Enzo. And let me just say, I am the chair of the Zero Waste International Alliance, which is a group of companies and not companies, I'm sorry, country nonprofits who are Zero Waste Italy, Zero Waste Brazil, Zero Waste Costa Rica, Zero Waste Canada, and then affiliates as well. At least we also have Zero Waste Uruguay. I don't want to forget them, or Costa Rica. So we are gathering more and more groups that are becoming international, and they are able to certify businesses under a criteria that we've developed. And then we have Zero Waste affiliates, like Zero Waste San Diego and Alameda County, which are general organizations that affiliate with ZWIA. Basically, you buy into the definition and the declaration, and we're on board. So I'm here to say it's an international movement, and welcome. That's it.
Thank you very much, Rick. And let's have a few wisdom words from Mr. Enzo, Italy.
Yeah, wisdom words. You want wisdom words.
Yes.
Not an introduction of myself. Well, wisdom words. No, first of all, I like considering zero waste programs as the perfect toolkit for circular economy. We know there's so much ahead of us, to implement, to optimize, to improve in a circular economy oriented society. And I keep thinking that circular economy is the field for optimists and innovators. And I do know that there's plenty of optimists and innovators in the audience tonight.
Okay. What are you mainly working with right now? And so I know that you are you were one of the founders for the European Composting Association and so on, and you've been working with ISRA as a technical advisor and so on. But what's happening right now in Zero Waste Europe, which you are representing, and what's happening in Italy, in Milan, where you are based, with a lot of good things happening?
Yes, indeed. Well, the agenda is very, very lively and keeps us busy because, of course, the circular economy package in Europe, which was adopted a couple of years ago, is totally reshuffling the vision for waste management. Of course, in circular economy, we want to keep the materials in the loop in their highest status for as long as possible. And we want to minimize the leakages. So far, in Europe, there was a bad situation because incineration was considered to be a good option in order to minimize landfilling. But now it is competing with circular economy for materials, and it is considered to be one leakage of materials from the circular management together with landfilling. So we have to minimize residual waste and not landfilling only. We have to minimize both. Then, of course, well, you know that Europe took a consistent action on curbing the growing plastic tide. We adopted a plastic strategy a couple of years ago, and then more recently, the Single-Use Plastics Directive, which was just enforced. And while the plastic strategy was still working basically on recycling, improving the infrastructure, maximizing the market demand for recycled polymers and something like that, the Single-Use Plastics Directive starts working consistently also on reduction of the so-called hard-to-recycle plastics. So introduced some market restrictions for some of such items as single-use tableware, single-use cutlery, straws, and so on and so forth. But I may tell you about that later on.
Okay, a few words from Mr. Richard Anthony, also what's happening right now.
Sorry, I went off mute. What's happening right now is in the United States, federal government has approved the infrastructure money, and so we're getting prepared to try to make recommendations to local state governments on how that should be used to get to the full circle economy. And of course, this conference is what's happening and mobilizing our members to get to their local cities to work on zero waste plans and get organics out of landfill.
Okay. I just mentioned before also that I'm involved in the World Cleanup Day and cleanups around the world, and I also been involved in it, and is still, of course. The reason why I entered this cleanup was actually the first time in Rio at the 20+ conference we had there, and I consider that the cleanups are important, you know, because as it was from the beginning, they were just doing a lot of cleanups and they bag up everything and then they took it away to landfill or incineration, whatever it was. So we started, you know, to tell the cleanup people also that you need to sort the waste, and you need to also have like a small educational program and pick out what is recyclables and what you can do using for composting and so on, to make sure that they really understand that making a cleanup is an important step to get into, visualize a little bit, and even touch the waste to get an idea of what it really is. And it's also helping people to take responsibility, because usually you are cleaning up the area where you are living and you will see an immediate result of it, and that gives you a good satisfaction. I think also that it has a huge impact to unite the communities if we are participating in a cleanup, and of course it also helps us to get rid of plastic and other waste, and of course it's also protect the wildlife around where you are. Where I'm staying right now, I have a lot of animals outside of my window. We have horses, cows, and goats, and so on, and a lot of chicken and stuff, and they all go into the waste bin and spread it out. So it's also a health issue, both for animals and for people to take care of this. And that's why also I believe that the cleanup has a huge impact, and it's also inspire the members in the community to do something and get together. And by participating in a cleanup, you have proven that you have taken the waste problem seriously and you are ready to be a part of the solution. And that's why we also had this big common day, which is the third Saturday every September every year, where we try to unite the whole world, you know, in a big session. We call it the World Cleanup Day. A few words from Enzo also. You've been involved also in cleanups, and what does it look like in Italy about cleanups?
No, well, basically I was helping the global network in the so-called knowledge team, because we were providing support to all the national networks in order to define the strategies for best management of the collected materials after the cleanups, and also trying to build the vision, the knowledge, the capacities in order to move from cleanups only towards proposing a zero waste approach in order to prevent further littering. But there was one more point which I wanted to add on your previous ones on the importance of cleanups, because of course I committed myself to supporting the cleanups, but we are not so naive to consider the cleanups to be the solution. However, they are incredibly important, because besides what you already said about awareness raising, giving a sense of community, and so on and so forth, there is one more meaning in the cleanups. When we collect litter material, we also collect precious information which is connected to that material. What are the materials which we do most frequently find in the open environment? What might be the mechanisms whereby such materials have been transported there, and so on and so forth. And this is citizen science on steroids. And let me stress that when the European Commission defined the so-called dirty dozens, those materials on which we have got market restrictions to start with, such as single-use tableware, straws, and so on and so forth. They were singled out based on the most frequently found materials during the cleanups. So this proves the importance of citizen science.
Okay, thank you. I just want to say to Richard also that both you and me and Enzo, we've been in Brazil working with the Institute of Zero Waste, and we also seen that in Brazil we have some really good examples also of zero waste, and we had our big professor of zero waste, Rodrigo Sabatini, and he had this huge project where you could leave clean recyclables into a company, and you could get some points which you could use for shopping and so on, just to raise awareness to people that don't throw this away and don't give it to a landfill. So the concept was keep the recyclables clean, leave them to us, we take care of them, and we pay them for them, to visualize that trash for cash is a business to go. And just give us a few words about this and your experience from this, Mr. Anthony.
I just see a lot of international stuff going on. Don't we have a couple videos from Jack McKibben and another speaker that you need to plug in? You're running out of time. You probably should jump on that pretty quickly.
Yeah. Okay, so we are now having the first speaker coming up, which is Jack McKibben from Zero Waste Europe, and he is working with the Zero Waste cities, and he's been around for a few years and been working for Zero Waste Europe now for a while, and he has about 400 different municipalities that he's been working with. This is a recorded session because in Europe now it's late night, and I'm sitting in Indonesia where it's early morning and it's afternoon in California. So let's listen to Mr. Jack and let him tell us about how Zero Waste Europe, which is a great organization and has a huge impact in EU, and they are based in Brussels. And let's give the floor to Mr. Jack. Thank you very much.
Okay, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time this is. My name is Jack McKibben. I'm the Zero Waste Cities Program Coordinator at Zero Waste Europe, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity to be able to present today for the conference about what we do in Europe regarding our Zero Waste Cities. So I'm just going to give a background as to what a Zero Waste City is and some practical examples of how they're having an impact already. So very quickly, those of you that do not know, Zero Waste Europe, we are a Brussels-based NGO. We made up of 31 member organizations in 27 European countries, inside and outside the European Union. Obviously, being based in Brussels, we advocate for ambitious waste legislation, pushing decision makers further up the waste hierarchy. But also, and crucially from my role as the cities program coordinator, together with our members, we work and mentor local municipalities, that we call them, to design and implement strategies at the local level to reduce waste. And we have 440 municipalities within our network at the moment who've committed to go zero waste. And I'll talk about that in a second. So how do we define zero waste? First and foremost, this is what we would say to municipality. Obviously, we're very familiar with the waste hierarchy, but it's this bit at the bottom which is the most important. Zero waste cities make a number of commitments as part of the program. This includes communication, awareness raising, collection and recycling, but the most important one is that they agree not to renew or extend capacity of what we call environmentally harmful sort of solutions. So any sort of incineration technology that creates a lock-in effect that generally allows or pursues the continued need for waste generation. And so we always advocate for flexibility within the system, and it's a crucial part of what makes a zero waste city. And of course, the zero waste philosophy as a whole is much more decentralized in terms of decisions that are in the hands of the community and local authorities much more, rather than regional or national policymakers. Zero waste creates more jobs, in recycling and reuse are much more intensive, labor intensive, sorry, compared to capital intensive technologies such as incineration. And zero waste strategies help identify waste in terms of assessing what's remaining in the residuals, what's not recyclable, and obviously therefore enabling more informed, better data-driven solutions to tackle these issues. So the Zero Waste Cities program at Zero Waste Europe, this is our key approach for any municipality. So we work with Europe's best performers, but we also work with those who are just starting out on the journey. The most important thing is this continuous effort to phase out waste. So you might be recycling 90% or 9%. Either way, there's still an improvement to be made. And obviously, at the utmost vision is to create local systems that simply do not generate waste in the first place. As I said, we have over 440 municipalities who are engaged and been supporting at the moment to develop zero waste strategies in Europe. And this is done via our network of local and national coordinators who we train and support and provide with tools and services who can then be our day-to-day support for municipalities. Here at Zero Waste Europe, we collect best practices and we model frontrunners to showcase that Zero Waste Cities is not a fanciful vision for the future. It's actually a concrete set of policies and tangible results that can be replicated in a diverse range of contexts. And very recently, from March this year, we have the world's first Zero Waste City certification. So we've taken what the experience and our knowledge from the past decade working on this and created a certification, much more robust and formal structure to monitor, assess, evaluate, and to reward municipalities making progress on the zero waste strategies. So this is just an example of some of the work that we do. In previous times, we used to have in-person workshops with municipalities to help them design their own strategies. On the left is the case studies that we try to collect and showcase the impact of zero waste, and we create reports to showcase the data from across Europe as well. And so 2 slides here. This is the first one about what a basic sort of framework of a zero waste city is, like what does it actually look like in practice? And of course, this is door-to-door, curbside, as close to the source of the generation of waste as possible, the collection, separately into the key recyclables. So within the EU, all member states are required to collect at least paper and cardboard, plastics, metals, drinking containers together, and residual waste as well, required by law, as well as bulky and hazardous waste, wood, all these materials that are often collected not from households, but instead from collection or drop-off points. From the 1st of January 2024, it'll be required to separately collect organics, and then from 1st of January 2025, it'll be required for all EU member states to separately collect textiles as well. So we're heading in the right direction. And of course, organics collection is one of the most important aspects of the zero waste program because of the impact it can have in terms of immediately reducing the volume of residual waste, being able to optimize collection rounds if you're treating smellier waste more effectively. It means what you've got left in the residuals is often just simply lightweight packaging or plastics, and those which can sit in a kitchen or a sort of basement for much, much longer than waste with organics in. Residual waste assessments are one of the most sort of starting out policies that we require, but they can be done whenever to really have an impact, where you sort of sift through what's left in the residuals to understand what's not being recycled. Economic incentives are key to really incentivize waste reduction further, and what we call pay-as-you-throw systems that penalize those who generate the most waste, households and businesses. And there's normally a fixed fee for waste fees, but and then there's only a variable part of this, 30-40%, which depends on the volume of waste that's generated. A key philosophy is the open and engaging partnership with the community. So really bring in the local stakeholders with you, identifying who these are, and creating fun, engaging methods to do so. So we have zero waste advisory boards is a must do for any zero waste city, but also other initiatives include zero waste family challenges. So you showcase how the best households can reduce their waste. In Campania, in Italy, we had households over a year just producing 3 kilograms of residual waste via this challenge. And of course, zero waste labels for businesses and schools as well. And of course, working up the waste hierarchy. So we often advocate first and foremost, municipalities look within. What can they do to prevent waste within their immediate sphere of influence? So public events, spaces, and then procurement. And then secondly, what can they do within their indirect sphere of influence? So working with businesses, kindergartens, setting up reuse and repair centers with local enterprises, all of this stuff that can really have a big impact in reducing waste and creating more of a reuse culture locally. And this brings several benefits. So simply, if you have less waste to send for disposal, you're saving on the fees for that. But also, if you're able to, a zero waste system means that the system is more optimized. You have more revenues for better quality and higher value recyclable materials. And of course, there's the environmental and health benefits as well as the social, creating more jobs. You're able to connect and help perhaps those who are typically disadvantaged in the community. So numerous benefits of this. And in the last 2 minutes, I just wanted to highlight some examples of how this has actually been put in practice. So it's not just me talking. Italy is where the birthplace of zero waste cities in Europe. In 2007 was the first. And you'll see, so this is slightly old, 2018. We should have 2019 data very soon. But in Italy, so 122 municipalities are separately collecting. So out of all of the municipal solid waste that's generated, 90% of this is separated for recycling, meaning that 10% is just sent for landfill and incineration. Over 1,100 separately collecting 80%. And this includes key sort of big cities as well. So in Treviso, in Parma, populations of 200 and 300,000, you're achieving 75, nearly 80% separate collection, which normally, on average, you have a contamination rate of between 5-10% at best. So you're looking at recycling of 10% below the separate collection. But, and most crucially, it's not just recycling, it's also about reducing the total volume of waste as well. So municipalities here, over 2,000, have less than 100 kilograms per person per year. In 2018, 350 had less than 50 kilograms per person a year. And this is done through key prevention and recycling measures. And then 39 actually had 30 kilograms per person per year. And typically, these have been in the smaller municipalities, so of around 5 to 15,000. And this is just one example from the waste management company Pontarina, which showcases its zero waste champion, a highly effective recycling system in place compared to the Italian national average. You'll see this is also achieved via one of the lowest household fees, lowest household fee in the region, and one of the lowest in the wider country, obviously, just because the system is so effective. Low fees for disposal, high fees being received, revenues from recycling as well. And very finally, Slovenia, we have an example of a country that in 2008 was a mid-table in terms of recycling. The key thing is they have flexibility in the system. They weren't tied into long-term contracts with incinerators, which means that via the national government and then taken forward by local zero waste cities, they really implemented ambitious zero waste policies, including mandatory separate collection of organics, treatment, no incineration. And the results were that in 2018 and even still today in 2021, Slovenia is in the top 3 recycling nations within the EU. And this is just some of our Slovenian zero waste cities. So again, it's looking at separate collection vastly above the EU recycling average, and also total amount of waste as well. So it's not just the recycling, you're also looking at prevention, which is key. And of course, having important goals guiding these municipalities on the future. And this is really driven by Europe's first zero waste capital in Ljubljana. And these 2 charts just showcase the effect of its zero waste strategy in reducing the amount of residual waste, what was sent for landfill. And of course, as a result, this was due, in fact, because of the high separate collection you see in particular bio waste having the biggest impact. I think that's me out of time, basically. There's also examples from Kiel, community composting in Pontevedra in Spain. And this is just an example of some of the key highlights that we always recommend a zero waste city introduce. I've mentioned these throughout as well. I'm sure a copy of these slides will be shared so you can download after, or you can email me at the address here for more information. But thank you so much for the opportunity to speak today. Best of luck with the rest of the conference. I very much look forward to continuing working, hopefully, with lots of you in the coming months and years.
Paul, you are muted.
So thank you very much, Jack, for this recorded session. And zerowasteeurope.org is a webpage where you can find a lot of really good stuff also. Let's head on to the next speaker, which is Maricón Alvarez from the Mother Earth Foundation. a great organization started by Sonia Mendoza in the Philippines, a land with more than 7,000 islands, and they are advocating for zero waste, of course, and they also have so many good examples to show. So let's have a quick glance at Maricon's presentation also, which is recorded. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. I am Maricon Alvarez, one of the program managers of Mother Earth Foundation, and I am here to present to you the zero waste journey of Malabon City here in the Philippines. So just to give you an overview of our zero waste project, together with the local government unit of the city. So the objectives are to maximally increase the capacity of all the barangays, of all the 21 barangays in Malabon to comply with the RA 9003 or the Ecological Solid Waste Management Act of 2000, to divert city waste from dumps and or landfills, and to help enable the city to attain the compliance with the law of the RA 9003. And the specific objectives of the project is to increase the capacity of at least 75% out of the 21 barangays in Malabon, and to operate material recovery facilities or eco-centers in accordance with the law within 1 year from the start of the project, and also to build and strengthen the capacity of at least 75% of all barangays in Malabon to develop and implement waste management action plans, frameworks, and ordinances in order to ensure the project sustainability, and also to increase the number of households or community members practicing waste segregation at source to at least 75% of the citywide by the end of the project. And the last is to build and strengthen the ability of the city up to the barangay level to monitor their project waste management activities and record waste diversion rates within 1 year of the project. So Malabon City is a coastal town or city situated in the northern part of Metro Manila. It has a total population of 365,525, or approximately 2.84 of the National Capital Region population. And it also has 21 barangays or 21 divisions. So the Malabon and its zero waste journey. So these are the following activities we've done, and we're still doing together with the local government unit, the city government, and also the community local leaders. So the MOA signing, it is very important to have at least a written agreement together with the city or together with their legislator for us to be recognized by the community members. And also, one of the important activities that we've done is the baseline survey or the green audit, wherein we really look into the awareness, perception, and practices of the community members towards their solid waste management program. Or also, we also conduct an interview together with the local leaders, how they implement their ordinances, or if they do have ordinances, or they should have to amend or at least develop a new one. We also conduct waste assessment and brand audit. So the purpose of doing this waste assessment is for us to identify what are the major type of waste that the community is producing, and also the possible waste diversion that they could get if ever they implement the zero waste program in their jurisdictions. We also conduct local ecological solid waste management training for the communities and other institutions, and we also have a separate training for the schools together with the students and the teachers. And also, we are doing IEC, different IEC campaign, or the information, education, and communication campaign. We do have, we're giving flyers house to house or door to door. We're also doing the signage system, or also we're also asking for other partners like the youth groups to help us in doing some seminars regarding the solid waste management program. So now, because of pandemic, we do it online. We also do the dry run. So it is the activity between the full implementation stage and the IEC campaign. So in IEC campaign, we do the telling how to do the segregation. So on dry run stage, we do the show and tell. So we actually teach the people on how to segregate their waste. So and it's also part of the what do you call this? The stage wherein they gradually embrace the process of, oh, my waste, my responsibility. So we also teach the community members that the job of the waste collector is to collect their waste and not to segregate the waste coming from their households or from their institutions or offices. And then the full implementation stage of no segregation, no collection policy, it is strictly implemented on the 21 barangays of Malabon. So if your waste is not segregated, it will not be collected by our waste worker, or you should be the one to segregate their waste, and you will be apprehended, or you will be given a ticket, and you will pay or will be given a warning. We also do have the construction of the materials recovery facilities and operations. So in partnership with the barangays, we help them to establish and to really to operate correctly the facilities wherein the collected segregated waste will be put there and manage the compostables and also the recyclables. And then it's only the residual waste that will be delivered into the transfer stations. And also the enforcement. The enforcement part is very, very vital, wherein we have to give a message to the community members or to the people that the program is very serious, and we have to we have to obey, we have to comply, because it's not only for the environment, but it is also for the welfare of the whole community itself. We also attend and participate in the quarterly City Solid Waste Management Board meeting, wherein we discuss the issues and concerns that should be addressed, and what can we do as members of the SWM board. So currently, the number of covered barangays is 21 out of the 21 barangays, and they have 0.32 waste per capita, with a waste compliance of 90.2%, waste diversion of 64%, and number of waste workers working for the door-to-door segregated waste collection is 80. And we also do have community organizers who are really tirelessly coordinating and continuously teaching the community members to how to segregate their waste. And from 2018, the last quarter of 2018, we have collected amount of 2.2 million kilograms of waste, which we diverted 1.4 kilograms, and up to August 2021, and the recyclable waste is 923,119 pesos. We also do have 18 MRFs. So 10 are the infrastructures, and we also have mobile MRFs for those barangays that don't have space where they can build their own facility. So the picture depicted on the slide is the major deliverables that we've done during the from the past 2018 up to the current date. So we were able to distribute 8 eco sheds and 8 drum composting, distributed 32 waste collection vehicles for the barangays who doesn't have or their own collection cards. And then we also were able to construct biogas for one of the model MRFs in the Malabon. And also we conduct, as I mentioned, we conduct separate ecological solid waste management training for the schools, and retraining of solid waste management training for the newly hired or newly elected government officials of each of the 21 barangays. So these are some of the pictures of our model MRFs in the city. So we have Barangay Bayan-Bayanan, Barangay Nyugan, Barangay Dampalit, wherein most of the national government agencies visited, because it is a complete package of materials recovery facility. So they have do composting, they have big eco shed, they have area for residual waste, they have big biogas wherein they can accommodate even the waste, the compostable waste from the market nearby. And also we have MRF from Barangay Catmon, Barangay San Agustin, and Barangay Panghulo. And the project highlights during the pandemic last year up to this date is we were able to conduct the Project Tuloy. It's a MEF initiative of waste workers assistance where we were able to assist many of our waste workers, not only in Malabon, but also in different MEF Zero Waste Cities partners. We're able also to distribute reusable PPEs for our waste workers. And then we also conducted 2-day workshop for the 21 barangays for the assessment of their zero waste management plan and updating of their 5-year solid waste management plan. It is also an avenue for us to assess whether they are ready to do the zero waste program on their own. So once they have the full capacity. And also we do the drafting of IEC materials for the plastic regulation campaign of the city, and we conducted marine litter baseline study for them to assess if the waste will not be collected from the households, because as mentioned, Malabon City is a coastal city. So there's a possibility that this waste will be, thrown out to the bodies of water, which is Manila Bay. So these are some of the pictures of the Project Tuloy. We were able to give goods, basic needs of our waste workers, and zero waste kits, wherein we were able to give alcohol, reusable face masks, and food for their families too. So we also have these waste workers scholarship fund, and some of them are our waste workers from Malabon City. So we also conduct, even during pandemic, the solid waste management evaluation survey, wherein we have to assess the appreciation or even the compliance of the community members towards the ordinance or the regulation of the barangay and the city. We also do conduct waste collectors trainings, wherein we teach them how to properly collect waste from the households or from the offices and institutions, and what are their responsibilities and rights as waste workers. So it is very important to empower them and strengthen their capacity as waste workers. Because we do believe that the waste workers are the community frontliners, and one of the keys why zero waste program implementation is very much effective on the zero waste cities project sites. We also conduct the zero waste community pantry. So during pandemic, it has been a big help for the people who are really in need during these trying times. And as you can see, we do it on our, as being true to our advocacy, we do it on zero waste and plastic-free community pantry. So these are some of the pictures, and we also joined the Global Day of Action of Gaia. We call out the government, the national government, or our local government units that the waste workers should be prioritized during the vaccination of the COVID-19, because they are facing every day the danger of getting the virus. That's why they should be prioritized as much as being prioritized the other workers per se. We also do have the regular monitoring of the materials recovery facilities, not only from us, but also from the national government agencies. And so that's the picture of the solid waste management workshop that I mentioned earlier. And the online orientation of the biogas for the waste workers and for the MRF workers. And we also have this Malabon Waste Workers Association consultation. So one of the aims of the project is really to establish an association wherein we will be able to strengthen and to highlight the roles and the rights of these unsung heroes of zero waste management program. So hopefully by early next year, we will be able to register them in the national government, so they could have at least the basic social protection that they can get from the government. So that's all, and thank you, and maraming salamat po.
You're on mute, pal. You're muted.
Paul, you're muted.
Okay, sorry. Thank you very much, Maricon, for the presentation. It was another recorded session we had, and I know we are a little bit late because we are turning over to happy hour now, but talking about zero waste and get all these examples is happy hour. So we're already in the happy hour, and I'm happy for that. I don't know if there will be any questions or we have time for it. Otherwise, we're going to move into the happy hour and we can also talk there later on. But I just want to have a few last words from Mr. Anthony and Mr. Enzo. And I would also just end to say that when we see all these great examples from all over the world, you cannot be except to be happy that there are so many good examples going on, and that the only road for a sustainable waste management is zero waste, and zero waste is circular economy. So we are absolutely the only option at the end. Please, Mr. Anthony.
Oh, Paul,
short words.
I just wanted to tell you that Sonia is here too. So if you had any questions about the work of Mother Earth Foundation, she's here. She might be able to come on the screen.
Come on the screen,
Okay.
Sonia. It's been a real pleasure to work on the international level. We've got so many fine organizers all over the world, and a lot is being done. At the happy hour, you have your option to go to the ZWIA website. If you want to talk more about what we're doing, join us. Enzo, what do you have to say in closing? You're on mute.
Very, very briefly, what I would like to add is that you have seen from the examples which were coming from Europe, so high-income countries, and also middle and low-income countries. Of course, what I would like to stress is that we are trying to move progressively towards the reduction and reuse, which are the topmost option in our zero waste approach, because they are plan A for sustainability, because they are less resource intensive. And so reducing and reusing are always the best option. However, recycling does play a role, above all in the short term, and we consider it as the low-hanging fruit of circular economy. So we always have to keep a comprehensive strategy in which we do have a focus on separate collection and recycling, because those are the ones that deliver the highest results in terms of diversion, economic benefits to the community, job creation, and so on and so forth. But also we have to keep in mind that we have to move progressively towards the reduction and reuse, which are plan A for sustainability.
That's really good. Thank you very much. And
Sonia,
final question.
And Sonia is there.
Oh, Sonia is there. Okay.
Sonia's here.
Good. Few words, Sonia, the
But
founder of...
unmute.
Unmute, Sonia, please.
Unmute.
Thank you.
Okay. Hi, everyone. So glad to be here in the conference, and great presentations from everybody. Thank you, Paul and Ruth and Rick, and of course, Enzo. And thanks to Maricon. Well, you can see that zero waste is community organizing. It involves a lot of people in the community, and there is camaraderie between the waste workers and the households, because the waste workers are from the same village. So it's easier to have rapport with them, and they comply. And we have successful success stories already. One of our projects, in Siquijor Island, it won already the Greening the Islands project. We were hoping to make it the first zero waste island model. So Let's go zero waste. Thank you, everyone.
It's cool that you are mentioning Sikihor Island because it's also famous for its witches. Of course, that's where we're going to have the first zero waste island in the world.
True. That's not true. I've been there many times. It's a very
Yes.
beautiful island.
It is, it is. And if you don't really know how to tackle this problem, there is always a question you can answer. You can ask yourself, if you are not for zero waste, how much waste are you for? Think about that one. Thank you very much, everybody. See you on the happy hour. Thank you. Thank you, Ruth, also for helping us out.
Yeah, Paul, so you see the link to the, go back to the main stage and we'll meet, we can all meet up in the Zero
Yes.
Waste International booth.
Right. There is a link in the chat box now, so we can go
Okay.
there. Thank you very much and bye-bye, everybody.